All right, we're back, day 2. Back at the gym again. So we're gonna run some chest today. We're gonna smash it out. Chest and a little bit of delt. So my split at the moment, I didn't really go into it too much yesterday, but to give a little bit more detail, it's priority on arms and hamstrings. Hamstrings 3 times a week, arms are in there 4 times a week. Well, it's actually an 8-day rotation, so it's asymmetrical every week where it's not lining up with specific days. So every week my rest days will change, and the days of the week where I train certain muscle groups will change because it doesn't perfectly align. So it's just something I'm trialing out at the moment, doing 3 days on, 1 day off, because it's more than a typical 5-day split. You know, in a typical 5-day, you're doing 3 on, 1 off, 2 on, 1 off. That's, you know, your 5-day week split. 6 days, I feel, is too much for me. Training 6 days in a row and then having a day off. That's the only problem with doing 6 days a week. It's not doing 6 days in 1 week. It's doing 6 days in a row. That's the problem, because that's a big fucking jump. 5 days a week is 3 in a row before you're having a rest day. 6 days a week is just 6 in a row. So you're literally doubling the amount of days you train back to back. And that's what makes it difficult. So you could do I like to go from a 5-day split. If I want to increase the frequency without having to go to 6 days a week, I personally find it easier going to 3 on, 1 off. Which is, what I'm doing at the moment. And honestly, if I really wanted to increase again, I'd probably go 4 on, 1 off instead of 3, instead of going straight to 6. Because, like I said, I just find it too much. Like that 5th and 6th session especially is just lacking the intensity. I'm fucking dead by that point. I need a day to just really relax, man. But either way, we get it done. So last year I did 6 days for a period. When I was right before prep, when I was over in Bangkok, I was still doing 6 days a week. That was fine then. I also wasn't running like any gear. My food was low. I was coming down in weight, so I had a lot more energy. Because you always feel better when you come off. So, and I was natty. Like I went cold turkey off everything for like 8 weeks straight. So I felt great. And it was easy. And previously before that, I was doing 5 days a week, and 2 of them were twice a days. So there's a lot of different options you have there. Those twice a day sessions were just arms in the evening. But now it's incorporated a bit more into my plan, and we're actually gonna see how this plays out. I think it's going well at the moment though. I feel like I'm progressing well and still resting enough. I did just come off a deload a couple weeks ago. So that was well needed. But for now, we're just building back up the volume after the deload. Week 2 at the moment. So today is 3 chest movements, a fly, 2 pressing, and 1 delt, and I've got calf as well, but I like to start with calves just to get me a little bit more mentally in the zone rather than doing it at the end when I'm just fucking over it. I feel better getting it done early. It's not going to impact the rest of my workout, and it gets me mentally like ready to go without going straight into heavier movements. And then tomorrow we got legs. when you're warming up for any movement, you want to basically take a pyramid approach to that, where you're doing a certain weight that's relatively easy to start. Do it for, I like to do anywhere between 12 to 20 reps, like whatever's just getting a little bit of blood flowing, whatever feels nice. And progress the weight up then while reps come down. You still don't really want it like close to failure at all. You're just trying to get it progressively harder until you get to your working weight. So for the first exercise, especially first exercise of a muscle group, I like to go maybe like 3 sets. And yes, you have to do this when going to another muscle group. So I'm gonna have to do this again when I go to cable flies next for chest, because you are just going to feel like shit if you go straight into your working set, and you're also not going to perform to your best or anywhere close to your best if you try and do one quick warm-up set and then go straight into it heavy. You are not ready to lift that amount of weight. You literally have receptors in your muscle that essentially feel how heavy something is and go, fuck, we need to produce X amount of force for this. And you almost need to condition them to understand that you're getting heavier, and they need to be okay with now allowing you to produce more force as you're getting heavier and heavier, if that makes sense. It's a oversimplification, but you get the idea. All right, ready for working weights. So the last set that I do of the warm-up, I do quite close to the working weight I'm actually gonna do. So I'm like super prepared, because sometimes you can do the warm-ups and if it's still too much of a jump, you still don't feel like you've fully performed properly, and you really know when you go to do the second set and you fucking end up beating the reps from the fucking first set. All right, 3 sets done on calf raise. Now onto cable flies. Again, we have to re-warm up. This is one that pretty much my goal for this off season is to, I cracked my back, is to get strong. So last off season, I really focused on stripping everything back and perfecting my execution on everything, getting a lot more out of a lot less, and it really fucking works. I put on a good amount of size from last show to this show. These shows just been. But now, to continue doing that, I need to focus on getting fucking strong while maintaining that execution that I relearnt and keeping it pretty perfect. So as long as I'm feeling the muscle, I want to focus on getting strong. Cable flies is one that I don't want to push the weight too much on. I went up a little bit too heavy last week, and it's like, I still got a lot of reps, sure, but I sort of finished the set going like, I don't feel my chest a lot. Like, I didn't feel every rep really hard on my chest. I was sort of just feeling it through my shoulder, and it was heavy, but I didn't finish the set going like, fuck, my chest hurts. And I like to feel that. I think that's fucking important. So I took the weight back a little bit, but we'll see how we go today. I'll still probably do one heavier set, because the issue is it needs to still be challenging. And if it's too light, you're just going to do too many reps. And it is true that the heavier the weight is, the more mechanical tension you're going to experience. But you obviously want that to be as targeted as possible in the muscle you're trying to work. So same warm-up setup as the calves. Somewhere between 10 to 15. And use this time to really practice the form that you want to execute your heavy weights with. Remember, getting your shoulders back is not getting your head forward. Okay, so going to here and going like that is not making a big stretch, all right? Really focus on letting the shoulders creep back as much as you can. You almost need to do a row. Like, you need to be pulling your scapulars together like you're rowing something, because you're trying to touch your elbows together behind your back in that deep stretch. Okay, felt good. Make sure I'm making sure I'm getting some like good engagement out of these sets. You don't really need a lot of rest because, as you saw, that was nowhere near failure. So I'm going to do my working set at 100 this time. This is what I did last week. That was, I thought, a little bit too heavy. But that was 80, which was just too fucking light. Oh. All right, so I did the job of what I wanted, which, you know, I was able to focus on the stretch. Peak contraction in this, like, feels nice, but you're not really getting a whole lot out of it compared to the stretch. I know you've probably heard that so many fucking times by now. And if you're still unsure why, it's because of tension. So creating the most amount of tension in a movement is what's going to promote the most growth. Doing heavier and heavier weights is a really good way to increase that tension and have more tension than what you would obviously doing lighter weights. Sitting in a stretch, again, is just putting your muscle under a lot more tension because the weight is fucking on top of it. And in the stretch, you're just not getting that same amount of tension generated. You're just holding it, especially in something like this. It's not pulling you apart the same way that something like a pec deck would, but pec deck just doesn't feel very nice for me. But that set also felt like, in terms of the weight on the muscle, it was pretty good, but it's just that fraction too heavy for me where I get a little bit of shoulder in it and it's just uncomfortable. So for me, it's not worth doing more than one set at that weight. I think I've only got 2 sets in total. So I'm just gonna hit my second set with a slightly lighter load. So I'm gonna drop down to 90. And now, I'm still gonna be quite fatigued from that first set because it was fucking hard and it was heavy. And now 90 is gonna be hard as well, but I'm gonna feel it a little bit better. Oh. Now my chest is torn up. Hurts. I'm going to do some dumbbell press now. So I just did one feeler set of the 30s. So you don't need to fully warm up going to the next movement of the same muscle group, but it's still worth doing a couple feeler sets just to get practice of the movement down, to make sure when you get to that working set, you're going to execute to your best ability. Now, last week I did the 47 and a halves for 11, so not very heavy. Like I was saying, focus on practicing the execution and making and perfecting that. And to progress this week, it's hard. Dumbbells are one of the hardest things to progress on. Because it's a free weight, it's very energy taxing, it's very energy demanding, not in a caloric sense, but just in the feeling of your own energy. That's why we want to have it at the start of a workout, where you feel like you have the amount of energy, maybe the motivation as well, to be able to push hard in it and perform at your best and ideally progress. And when we get later in the workout, we can do things like machines and stuff that already move themselves, and you're not having to have as much control of the movement pathway it's following. But it's very hard to progress in these movements because, you know, we're using so much energy to control and stabilize and standardize this movement that it's not easy just to jump up a whole nother fucking dumbbell. And it's really not easy to just get a whole other rep on top of what is already your best effort the previous week. You know, if we lift 47 and a half kilos for 10 reps, and this week I need to get 11, that's a whole extra 47 and a half kilos I've lifted during the course of that set on one arm. Now that's why it'd be much easier to just go to 48 kilos, 48 and a half. Having an extra 1 kilo increase over the course of that set for 10 reps would then only be an extra 10 kilos lifted across that set, not a whole extra 40. So it's a smaller progression in terms of the load lifted in any given set. But we don't have that option because they obviously don't go up in 1 kilos. Otherwise you'd have way too many fucking dumbbells. So we're gonna have a feel today whether we wanna go to 50s or aim for the 47s again and try and get 12. I'm just gonna feel it out. But at the same time, you don't have to fucking progress every single week. It's not the be all end all. There's multiple movements we do for a muscle group that we can progress on. You don't have to progress on every single set of every single one. And you won't, it's impossible. So as long as you're giving your best effort, that's what's gonna bring along the result you're looking for anyway. So it's the 40s. Again, next feeler set that I did. I'll probably honestly go for like straight to my working weight now. I think I'll go straight to the 50s. And I want to stick to a bit lower rep in this. All right, I switched sides again. We're gonna go for it now. Working set, 2 working sets on this, and another 2 on an incline hammer strength. Pristine machine that is. Not really a whole lot of space back there, but we'll see how we go. For now, we hit it. Okay. It's hard, but it felt good. Still able to get a lot through my chest. Like, felt like it was very nicely controlled. Wasn't muscling it and just throwing it around. So I'm happy with that. We'll do one more with the 50s again. No, actually, you know what? I might do a back off down to the 47s. I feel like doing another set there will be a little bit too much of instability, trying to push it. Not instability, but too much of me just trying to really heave it and not getting as much out of my chest. So I might drop it back for one. And look, that's still a progression, because I went from last week, I did both sets at the 47s, and today, on my first set at the 50s. And I'm pretty sure for those reps I got just then, it would be technically a calculated progression from the amount of reps I got on the 47.5s last week. And now we'll go down to the 47.5 and match what I did last week. So overall, across the sets, been a progression on this exercise. But again, that's really cool to look at. It's cool to aim for. It's not everything if you don't get it. Okay, let's get on to it. All right. That felt really nice. I reckon next week I probably will do both sets for the 50s. That was good. Right. Again, feel a set. I think my working set's going to be around 50 or something each side. So I just track per side because it's easier. Less math. Yeah, so 50 I think is going to be my working weight, somewhere around that. I'll double check. But again, feel a set first. All right, first working set, I'm going for 55. Oof. So that was above what I was meant to do. I was only meant to get 6. Smashed it. Right, so standing, delt raise to finish it off. I don't really warm up for these. Can just pretty much get straight into them. I'll just try and find the right setting, and then I'm good. Realize I haven't even taken the pump cover off yet. Also, I'm all gasped out. Nothing to gasp on right now. That's how we do it. Oh. 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 Oh, we're gonna drop that down for the last set. Alright, last set. I guess this is what I do. Fucking literally take my shirt off for the fucking last 1 or 2 exercises. Only when I know I have enough of a pump to be acceptable, and I'm not quite fat enough yet where I'm disgraced and don't want to take my shirt off at all. So we're okay for now. Alright, I'm going to drop it down. Alright. We dropped it down too much. Oh, right. That'll do me. That's us done. Session's over. Thanks for coming along. This one was purely gym, purely education. Maybe not, but if you learned something, cool. I'm glad. Glad I could be that person. Don't ask much else. So, tomorrow, legs. And I'll see you again then. Thanks for joining. Like, subscribe, all that good shit.